Welcome back to The Count. We're counting down the major stories of the week. I'm Lydia Serrani. Now to story number 3 in our countdown. Fighting anti-Semitism. Australians are still reeling from the gruesome massacre on Sydney's Bondi Beach, where 15 people were murdered and more than 40 injured. Police uncovering evidence pointing it to being an ISIS-inspired terror attack on the Jews there. They were celebrating a Hanukkah event. But instead, the Australian government is responding with gun control. Yeah, that's the answer. Joining us now is National President of the Zionist Organization of America, Mort Klein, and founder and executive director of the Lawfare Project, Brook Goldstein. Thank you so much for joining us. I see, Brook, you're at AmFest there. Morton, let's start off with you. What do you make of the Australian authorities blaming the gun? They refused to blame these two Islamic extremists that had ISIS flags in the truck. You name it, it's the gun's fault. And let's gather up everybody's guns.
This is not an issue of gun control. This is an issue of Islamic terrorism. This is another Muslim who murdered people in Australia. And in Brown University, unconfirmed, he was screaming the killer, Allahu Akbar. This is an Islamic issue that has to be addressed because 98%, listen to this number, 98% of all terrorist attack by a clearly religious individual has been committed by a Muslim. 2% of the rest of the religions have committed terrorist attacks. And it's not just now, it's all over the world. It's in France, in India, in London, in Germany, Moscow, South Africa, Nigeria. It's everywhere. We have to change the education systems in the Arab Islamic world where they teach hatred and violence. We have to change their textbooks, and we need the major leaders of countries to make major speeches condemning Islamic terrorism. And I'll tell you, the president of Egypt, al-Sisi, listen to what he said at Al-Azhar University, the major Islamic university in the world. He said, is it possible that 2 billion Muslims should want to kill the rest of the world's inhabitants? That is 7 billion people. We are in need of a religious revolution. You imams are responsible before Allah. The entire world is waiting. This is a Muslim issue, and we have to call it out and stop talking about the nonsense that this is gun control.
Right. And Brooke, what is your response to that? Because the imams, they aren't speaking out. They're not denouncing this. Our own members of Congress aren't denouncing it. Ilhan Omar also saying that this is a gun issue.
Well, I think Mort is exactly right. The problem is radical Islam. And we have to not be afraid to call it what it is. And frankly, the Islamists don't distinguish between the Jews and the Christians. We talk about the problem of rising anti-Semitism. There is a problem of rising anti-Christianism. There are attacks against Christians throughout the globe in biblical proportions. And the Judeo-Christian societies, the Jews and the Christians, need to stand together and fight against this. Because first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. And if you go into the mosques and you hear what they're preaching, and you go on Al-Aqsa TV or Hezbollah TV or Iranian TV, they say death to the infidels, death to America, death to the West, and of course, death to the Jews. So this is a product of a country that has opened its borders, that has allowed people to come inside and live within that are completely incompatible with democracy. It's a country that has allowed pro-Hamas protesters to march in the street and chant exactly what they're going to do. You have to believe them. When they tell you they're going to kill you, we have to believe them. And we should have woken up after 9/11. But the problem is this Islamophobia mania campaign. Anyone like me, like Mort, anyone in the counterterrorism community who has been screaming at the top of our lungs about the problem of radical Islam has been silenced, has been sued, has been attacked. But now again, once we have to wake up and we have to deal with this problem, otherwise the West is going down. It's not about Israel. It's not about peace agreements or handshakes or creating another Islamist state called Palestine in a sea of failed Islamist dictatorships. You don't appease terror. You have to defeat it. You have to call it for what it is.
Right. And Australia, in an effort to appease, I guess, the Islamic community or extremists, they even recognized Palestine, right, as a state at the UN earlier this year. So Mort, does appeasement work with these people?
Winston Churchill said, those who appease the crocodile will simply eat and last. Appeasement always fails, even with one's own children, I might add. A Palestinian state, first of all, would this be a larger Gaza, which would make it even more dangerous for the Jews in that area and would destabilize the entire area. It's a terrible, terrible idea. We have to get the leaders of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Jordan, India, Pakistan, Qatar to make major speeches condemning Islamic terrorism. That's the only way it'll stop. And we have to change the culture there. A reporter from the New York Times went to the home of an Arab suicide bomber, and the mother said to him, "I am very happy and proud of what my son did. And frankly, I'm a bit jealous. I wish I had done it. My son has fulfilled the Prophet Muhammad's message. He is a hero. Tell me, what more can I ask?" This culture has to be dramatically transformed, and it has to start with the leaders of the Muslim world, the imams, and even President Trump and the non-Muslim world has to start calling this out as Islamic terrorism, because that's what it is.
Calling it like it is. We got to leave it right there. Brooke, I know I'll be talking to you as well tomorrow. Morty, thank you so much for your brilliant insight, both of you. Thank you both. Thank you.